is to see that you are there participating in our Expogenetics once again in person. But for you who couldn't be here in person sharing with us, we reach you in your house to take to you all of the technologies and innovations from the Brazilian cattle and many people that participate in the Brazilian cattle project. So it's very good to know that you were there participating with us in this edition of the Made in Brazil. And in this fair, we have many lives for each one of our participants. And the topic today is so innovative that you cannot miss it, and you're going to be from the beginning to the end with us. After all, today we have a staff of experts with us. So we have people here from the different scales of Coima. Welcome, Bruno Silveira, the executive director, José Dias, our Zezinho, the institutional relations, and Eduardo Pereira from the institutional area of the cattle raising. Welcome. The house is yours, and you are part of our Brazilian cattle project. I am sure that you're going to share with us many news, information, technologies that our national and international audience is going to like, and everyone is going to be aware of so much work that you have and a lot of competence that you have. So we are so proud to have you here. Zezinho, you can feel at home, Bruno, Eduardo. The house is yours, the live is yours. So I'm just going to pass the floor to you so that you can present the best for everyone to know the best of your work, okay? Here in Coima. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, to be part of Expogenetics 2022, and to be together with the Brazilian breeder and from abroad as well. And Coima is a traditional manufacturer of scales and troughs, and we have 70 years, and it was a family company that was founded in 1951. So, and it's a pleasure to continue here in the commercial area, and that is a reason for a lot of happiness for me. So, I'd like to thank all our partners, our customers, and our suppliers, everyone who helps us to bring what's best of technology to cattle breeding. For us, this is really important, and I'd like to thank ABCZ and the Project Brazilian Cattle, and we are proud to be part of it. Apex that provides all of this to us. This is really cool, and I'd like to invite my colleagues. Zezinha, of course, everybody knows him. He's been with us for 45 years. Eduardo Pereira, he's been with 25 years. And I'd like to pass the floor so they can introduce themselves. Good afternoon. It's a privilege to be here and to share a little about the topic, which is cattle breeding, such a relevant topic for Brazil. And we know that cattle breeders do their best to produce milk and grains and beef. So Brazil is a protagonist nowadays. And we are proud to be part of this chain of production. As Bruno says here, through ABCZ, Brazilian Cattle and Apex, they enable us to take innovation and technology to the four corners of the world through the studio of ABCZ. Thank you very much for the opportunity. And I hope we can contribute with agribusiness not only from Brazil but throughout the world. Thank you, EC. Thank you, ABCZ TV and Brazilian Cattle as well for the opportunity to be part of this live. And let's move on to contribute with information of our product line of Coima and in Expogenetics 2022.
Great. So now it's your turn, and you can show the world the entire work that you do, okay? Have a lot of success.
Thank you very much, EC. Starting now, I'd like to invite everyone to watch a video that tells about our story, that 70-year trajectory. So we'll show what Coima is from the beginning. Successful stories don't happen out of the blue. Even the most revolutionary projects, they are born of a simple idea aggregated to the will to go beyond. All trajectory is started with work, and our conversation starts in 1950. There is Oficina São Cristóvão, and for mixing and for fixing and for for manufacturing of animal tracked carts. 17 years later, the office, garage became the company, and Koima started with his first scale in the 70s. Kojima and Kozan expanded its business, conquering new territories and developing new projects, following the trends and technological innovations. The launch of the first scales electronic were in 1996, and it opened the doors to technology. And later, there were innovative launches such as the hydraulic trough and scale indicator and KMP3 and intelligent weighing system Valpace. All of this work is being followed with recognition. In 2018, Coima was a case study by the European Study of Institute of Design and going into the list of the 10 most innovative companies in Brazil according to Forbes magazine. And recently, in 2019, our newest launch revolutionized the system of contention with the Lock Easy. And innovation doesn't stop. Almost 7 years after the beginning, Coima continues growing. Our path is charted with a purpose to contribute to the technological evolution, encouraging good practices, offering solutions that are innovative, that generate value, efficiency, security, and well being. Some principles guide us, among them the contribution to the generation of wealth in agribusiness, increasing the productivity of our customers, and sharing results of our and giving back to society part of the value that we generate. We try to learn with our mistakes and we take them as part of our culture. We invest in development of our team and we try to create an environment where everyone can have a dialogue with open dialogue in all levels. Communication that it is positive, respect, and kindness. We value proactive activities and people with a sense of responsibility and that are committed with our cause and that hold our challenges. We're moved by our clients offering solutions effectively that make their businesses in responsible and sustainable businesses. Our focus and result is what makes Coima a serious company and committed in offering day after day the best solutions for each customer and the necessary support by the growth and evolution of agriculture and cattle breeding in Brazil. Innovation and technological for cattle breeding, Coima. That's cool, right? To see a little in the video. But the history is here in the shape of a person. So, Zazinho, I'd like you to tell us a bit about the evolution of systems of containment, the trunks, and what was it like in the past? How did Koima manage to evolve with national cattle breeding? Koima is a traditional manufacturer of trunks and weighing scales, and not only in Brazil but in Latin America as well. It was a company that was founded very small in a small town in the state of São Paulo, in Dracena, in 1951. Mr. José de Ancieri was the founder of the company. He is the grandpa of Bruno, and the third generation has been conducting this company very well with the purpose to lead our technology ahead. But back then, Koima started as a traditional manufacturer, fixing animal carts, and after that, animal carts pulled by animals. And in the 70s, Mr. José saw cattle breeding as a promising market in Brazil, and some men had already gone to India to bring new genetic material to leverage our cattle breeding. And seeing that this genetic material was important and we would need specifically tools and special tools, and in the 70s he started working with the trunks. The containment trunks. They were very archaic, obsolete, and the cattle breeder wanted to pull the animal down to weight, and how would you perform castration, insemination down on the floor without any practice, sanitary practice. And then Mr. Jose started manufacturing the containment trucks and trying to improve our genetic material. And we are very happy for this because we managed to contribute effectively with this development. Now our cattle breeding it was a national reference, but back then it was very hard. Over the 45 years looking at the evolution of cattle breeding, I can say that a lot of things came in Brazil in terms of containment measure in measuring systems. First were trunks that pulled the cattle down, and then after that, the teeth systems, and after the hydraulic pistons, that was also an evolution. And then the now we have the locks and Z-lock that innovated the bovine containment that was safe. It's secure, that contains the animal effectively, and it doesn't let the animal go. So that's the story of Coima to contribute to the national cattle breeding science. And back then in the 70s, we started manufacturing mechanical scales that ran for a long time, and after that with electronic scales that revolutionize with the practical aspects, agility, and the information the electronic scales can offer the cattle breeder with number, carcass weight. All of this contributed for cattle breeders to effectively have data at hand to manage better their business. That is the story of Coima. It's a family company that serves the whole country. We go from Belém until Chuí, east to west, and through the Brazilian Cattle Project that we were happy enough to join with the support of Apex and ABCZ. It opened the doors to the foreign market. So we had a brilliant trajectory, and we still have a long way to go and to evolve. And these young people here, and as well as cattle breeding that is changing with new blood, with tablets and cell phones and all technologies. Our directors also are together bringing more and more technology and innovation so that our cattle breeding practices will be more lucrative and will yield more beef in less time. Coima is 71 years old, and it's a company that is known nationally and internationally, and it takes its technology and effectively contributes to the advance in cattle breeding. That's really good. It's really cool to hear that it's like a movie that we see of everyone that was able to be together. And within those systems, we have the hydraulic trunk or the Megatron trunk, which is an innovation that we saw us outside Brazil, and we brought it here, and we also modernized focusing productivity and animal well-being. Megatron is seen as just a technology for big cattle calf cow producers or operations, but in reality, it gives you productivity for all sizes of cattle breeders, and it provides you with productivity gain. How, Eduardo, can you tell us what Megatron has been doing for the cattle breeding area? Megatron is an exceptional product in the market, completely hydraulic. We had what's best to animal well-being, and it's modular. And at first, this trunk came to the market to deal with a big confinement and volume, but it's already used by small cattle breeders. And because nowadays the workforce is hard to get, employers is hard to get, so it's easy to deal with this trunk. So this product now is in the market, and we have more than 150 products that are installed. And it's already proven today that it is the product that it's all the hype and the market and the weight of beef is going up in value. In the past, people used to think, oh, you know what, the beef was not so valuable, but now it's becoming more and more pricier. So it's going to contribute and it's going to be used for national cattle breeding. So I believe that Megatron makes people have productivity gain, and that is really good for us because we see, as we have already seen, over 150 units. But basically, these units have been growing over the past few years, right? The past 2 years. That is really interesting. Now let's continue talking about and evolving the situation. I would like to broaden the discussion. Let's talk about cattle breeding and of precision. And I have the honor now to invite Dr. Pedro Paulo Pires. He is a veterinarian master in parasitology and doctor in clinical concentration of big animals, postdoctor in geomedic in Canada in the Laval University of Quebec, and researcher of Embrapa and guidance professor and the master of precision agriculture and cattle breeding in FMS. It's an honor to have you here. Please welcome and talk to us. This cattle breeding of precision? And it's so talked about. Thank you for having accepted our invitation. Good afternoon, everyone. Bruno, Zezinho, Eduardo. It's a pleasure to be here in this team, right? Zezinho mentioned very well, Koima mentioned the story, and every time I hear that, I get really happy because I'm part of this team, and it's not anyone that can be part of it. And here I talk on behalf of Embrapa because you have Zebzinho da Coima, and his last name is basically Coima, right? My last name is Paulo from Embrapa, right? So Embrapa really thanks you for the opportunities and to put our ideas into practice. And for us to do this, we need partners that are really good, as it is the case for Coima with us. Would like to thank you live here, and especially in these areas of innovations that are hard, innovation that are in which it's hard to change the perception and concept of and the status quo of society, especially when you're going to deal with animals. Zazinho mentioned the animal card, and that was created by Mr. Jose. And I can challenge you to think about the dog that we had back then. I am 6 years old, but when I was 10 or 15 years old, a dog is a thing that was used to stay at the backyard, ate leftovers, didn't take any vaccines, get any vaccines. So it was just a thing. So cattle was the same thing, and trees too. So when Koima thinks that needs to participate in evolution, we have to think about this as well. And evolution for us to treat environment accordingly, it is fundamental for us to make money. It's not possible to spend with shading and other conditions if we cannot make money and be profitable activity. So I'd like to broaden the discussion when we talk about cattle breeding of precision in a general manner. How can it effectively contribute? Is it with profit, with well-being? Where does it fit better? We have a tool that is Baltes, and how does cattle breeding of precision can contribute to cattle breeders? So, Bruno, we will be able to follow the life of the animal. If we're weighing animals daily with the passage weighing scale, and we have a pregnant female cow, we can see the weight going up and the weight of the calf going up within the belly of the cow. So, if it miscarries, we'll be able to service it immediately. Imagine a farm that's 10,000 hectares, 5,000 hectares, and we know that there was a miscarriage. If we can deal with her immediately, that is good for that is well-being of the animal. If we look at a herd that is from a European breed, is put in a place that is very sunny, and these animals do not gain weight as we expected, it might be too much exposure to the sun. So the precision that allows us to evolve in the product or in the zootechnics or egg growing, and it also allows us to assess the life of the animal, whether it's gaining weight, it's sick, or if there was a miscarriage, or if it got pregnant. And we can think that at the back of the farm, the animals, when they go there, if they don't gain weight as they gain in another area in the farm, we can estimate that the soil of that area is not good enough. So the pasture is not making them gain weight. And all of this is the cattle breeding of precision. And it is definitely financial well being without a doubt, and it's also animal well being without a doubt. These two topics measure the importance of the product in the world nowadays. So if we can compete with the price of the beef, and we're going to compete with with using the animal. That's why I mentioned the dog. We have to take care of their animal, and that animal, well treated, can gain weight. Things go hand in hand for us too, with a product such as the one in Coima, to meet this world demand. That is perception, that is to be visionary, as it was Mr. Josué Dacieri. This scale came to stay. Coima created the manufacture the whales and the trunk, which is soft and comfortable, and the passage scale, which is the precision cattle breeding, and that is unquestionable. It's like cell phones. Some time ago, very few people had. Nowadays, everybody has one. This passage scale is going to be the same. Yes, it's really cool to hear that because we do believe in that. We believe in the evolution of cattle breeding, and that's why we've been in the market for over 7 decades. And since Pedro Paulo talked about Valpes, which is the result of a 10-year study with of Embrapa between Embrapa and the Federal University of Mato Grosso do Sul and Coima, and it's already a reality for over 4 years. Is changing cattle breeding now. Now I'm gonna want to show you a video to explain in further detail what the system is like, and after that we're gonna continue this conversation about this product that can help cattle breeders to evolve from the perspective of cattle breeding precision. My friend, I'm here to talk about my business that increased in 100% the management of my herd. I have the complete control of the weight gaining in the animals in my farm, helping me make better decisions, and you can do the same. Economy is profit, and it's always welcome, right? The lack of a system of an efficient weight gain system, it causes a lot of losses. A lot of the animals are inefficient in this aspect, and they're mixed with the other ones that have good gain. So it's hard to identify this, and it's basically money flying out of your hands. So I'm going to tell you a secret to identify this money, these animals that are taking your money. The Coimbra developed Ball Pass. It's an intelligent weighing system, control that without human intervention provides daily weighing and remotely allowing me to manage my property, and that allows me to monitor every day to individually follow the weight with a database with all of the important information for me to make the correct decision at the right time. And then I know the cost with logistics, feeding, and other aspects through the cell phone and my computer, and then I can have better management of my property. It's weighing scale of passage that has systems and a center that processes the information, and a transmission module that is powered by solar energy, and with a very important advantage, which is mobility. You can be anywhere when the animals can go through it, and you can transport it anywhere to any area in the farm. Then I identify in the chart which animals are not according to the expected gain weight, and then I do the corrected measures. So are you going to keep losing money? With Ball Pass, you identify on real time the animals that are not gaining weight, and you can make the adequate decision. Optimize your management, and you make more money. Do as the leaders in cattle breeding. Monitor your herd in real time and make the best decisions. Discover what technology can do for your business. With Bell Pass, the cattle goes through, and the profit stays. It seems something out of this world, but it is a reality, right? I would like Cezinho to talk about some of the experiences that we have. The clients that are the real clients. Tell us a bit about the clients that we have with this product. Ball Pass, as Bruno said, it's a reality, and we've just seen the video. It's a tool that is at the back of the one area where the animal goes through to drink water. It's monitored, weighed, and the weight is sent to the cloud, and you can do whatever you want with that. And the owner of the farm can have all of this information at its fingertips. We have a case of success at Bauru, and the owner says that the first thing that he sees is to look at the data and look at the weight gain here. And because we know that even in extensive, which is pasture, it costs money. But think about the cattle breeder that confines the cattle and feed him, that represents almost 70% of the fattening process, and it does not monitor. And that's at that moment that he has to remove a specific animal. And then it provides the diagnosis where it should sell, because there is a curve, and then maybe another animal, this animal should be sold according to this data. So this is the Avaí farm, and there are many other farms. But Alexandre, one of these people that always gives us testimonials talking about the importance of this equipment. And now we're just starting an experiment in a farm in Mato Grosso do Sul, in the region of Chapadão do Sul, that is going to be monitored. Not only the animal weight, but also the yield of the pasture, to look at the pasture that is yielding better profit. So the tool bell pass started 10 years ago, and as a result of the study of Federal University of Mato Grosso and Embrapa, and now it's a reality that gives you real-time data. And it's interesting to say that it's available for the rest of the world, right? We already have one in Bolivia in the confinement system installed, and that's what Coima provides in terms of technology, not only to Brazil, but to the rest of the world as well. And I'd like to thank again the participation, but the idea as well to bring us the crazy idea, as he mentioned himself, Pedro Paulo, to be one of the thinkers in such a noble project. Besides thanking you, I'd like to ask you, what are the attitudes that allow us to evolve in cattle breeding 4.0 or precision cattle breeding? What do breeders need to evolve with new technologies? Bruno, I'm going to say here that he needs good company. Man, I've been a cattle breeder for over 30 years, but I don't have a single animal. So I've been living for 30 years in this area, discussing, innovating, and we are well, and we see success when we are well a company, such as the farmer that's, as you mentioned, from Bauru. You have to stick together with him, because it's in that moment in which you start believing in what is being mentioned. And Coima is mentioning everything that was developed with Embrapa, with the Federal University, with Coima team, and it's putting into practice and has big farms that is buying. So what does the breeder need? To listen, to believe, and to follow, because that's the way that Brazil is going to sell beef, as we have to sell to the rest of the world. And you cannot just leave the cattle leave it in the pasture. You need precision cattle breeding to treat each animal very well, and maybe if you know what to do it, if you know how to do it, you teach it. I remember that there was here in Campo Grande, which was Reja, a technical meeting with dinner. So one breeder explained to the others what he was doing. And sometimes they went to the farm, to that breeder, to see, so others could see what he was doing as best practice, and that was providing profit. And that's a good company. If I could tell a breeder, first thing, you have to follow Embrapa in everything that it does, because it's ours and the partners of Embrapa, such as Coima, that pride us, that are our pride and joy. And all of this wouldn't be in the field if it weren't for Coima. The good company will always make you a good breeder as well. But Paulo, I could say that cattle breeding of precision is like looking through a microscope instead of of looking at it from afar, right? To be more assertive, more precise with correct measurements, right? Yes, exactly, Zazim. To control every little thing and the computer screen. So, because breeder, okay, go ahead. Because breeder can still write on a piece of paper, keep measuring as it used to do, but it's not necessary anymore. The software analysis will tell him which one is gaining weight and which one is losing weight. That's the future. Thank you, Dr. Pedro Paulo. Thank you very much for your participation here. And it's really important, as you mentioned, to bring the collaboration of companies, associations, cooperatives, and other entities to take technology not only for us here in Brazil, but for other places. So I'd like to thank you once again for your presence. And we always count on your participation. That is always good for us. Thank you very much, Pedro. Thank you. Well, but for us here in this program, it's really interesting, not only the weighing system and containment, but also to talk about other topics that are interconnected. Now I'd like to start talking about genetics and which is connected to the fair itself, which is the main model with which is genetics, right? So now we have the honor to invite here in our streamed program Rodrigo de Moraes. He is a vet and international specialist, years of dedication to genetics. Thank you very much for being part of this broadcast. Thank you for your participation, and we're going to talk about with our breeders. Thank you very much for coming here. Okay. So, Rodrigo, you're here and you should start answering. So, how has genetics evolved for the production of beef and milk in Brazil? First of all, I'd like to thank ABCZ to TV to thank for this space. It's an honor to talk to our brothers from Coima. We've been friends for almost 15 years, and Bruno Eduardo too. And we come here to talk about this topic. Genetics is fundamental nowadays. We've been through moments in the Brazilian cattle breeding, but we have been through cycles. And the first cycle was when the Zebu a breed came here, and then we went through a revolution about thinking of pastures, and after that, we started with the EDPs when we started measuring the animals, and now we're going through another revolution, which is the genetic revolution, especially with the genome issue. And that made Brazil to go from an importing country both of milk and beef to become the largest beef producer of the world. And not only that, that was also developed, but without the work of measuring that is made by Coima, these numbers would have never been possible and would have never been checked, because it's not just important to have a high productivity animal. It's important to make this animal to have the possibility to pass it down to their genes. And without measuring it, we aren't able to do this. In the cycle of genetic improvement is going to be a continuous cycle. We know that the numbers from ASBIA in terms of inseminated animals are rising numbers, and they're going to grow for many, many years. We have around 13% of animals that are inseminated in Brazil, and the number of animals is going to continue growing. But if the cattle breeder that wants to make money doesn't measure animals, doesn't weigh these animals to meet the demand of import, he's going to be left behind. And if he's left behind, what is it going to do? He's going to go bankrupt. So we need to continue working, taking into account genetic management and nutrition. And now we cannot leave out measurement, because if you not measure data, you cannot stay in the business, right? Yes, it's really good, and we can see this in the machine and trunk containment segments, the evolution of these products, right? Edu, can tell us a bit what you mentioned, what you've seen in the daily lives, what the trunks are, how they are evolving, and their use is being changing. And without a doubt, I would say that Coima and Mr. Jose was a visionary in the 60s with the imports, and Mr. Rubens Carvalho, they brought the genetics. But Rodrigo, I usually say that it would be very hard today, for example, for you to talk about follicular aspiration, EETF, and to have ultrasound, and if the tools were not here. That's why Coima feels a helper in the development of genetic and cattle breeding as a whole by offering these products. Think about a young vet that works in a very secure trunk, especially in a Megatron, which is a trunk that with seven keys, you can move all of the functions by closing the neck and the lateral part as well. I believe that we contribute effectively for the development of a genetic, because it would be really hard to inseminate an animal in in a place that would not provide the same yield. And it's not just that, Sazin. We have to take into consideration other factors. We're thinking about the vet risk as well. But people who work with cattle breeding, especially cattle breeding of precision, the value of these animals nowadays is a very significant value. So, and not have an accident without a trunk. People who work with it on a daily life, we know that the animals can suffer an accident, and we know that having these tools available on a daily life, we can minimize the risk of accidents that might happen. And you mentioned a very interesting point, especially in the issue of genetics, which is the issue of having the availability of the treatment, not only in a preventive manner, but healing as well, but also having the possibility to work with the reproductive part and the workforce that is even hard, right? More, and a person can work with trunk like this can work very with fewer people, especially with people leaving the field to or farms to the city. So these people need the adequate tools in terms of securities in a way that is contained. So to preserve the carcass is fundamental, right? Yes. And at the end of the day, as you have to think that we're going to have fewer people working in the corral, and there will be fewer people with accidents. You're going to reduce the payment that are going to be paid at the end of the year. You can buy this and you can reduce the costs for your farm. And in this line of thought, I'd like to mention a case of another partner that has been using the profits exactly with the using of a trunk such as ours to contribute for the evolution of genetic. And after that, we're going to talk about how profit can be achieved considering genetic evolution. Animals that are less stressed are a guarantee of better production. We look for an option of handling that would favor the efficiency of our work. Coima presents Profit by Gerson Sanchez. We are a company that provides services, collects semen of breeders, bovines that belongs to a CRV company, a Dutch company, and we have the central lab with the production of 3 million doses. It's a center that is connected to the production of reproducers of fostering bovine genetic in Brazil. Profit for me is everything that you aggregate in terms of value to everything that's something to invest it. That can be tangible and intangible as well. All of the animals that come to the central are the ones that will foster genetics. So these are the animals that will bring to the clients improvement in terms of the production of beef as well as dairy or milk. So these are the best breeders that come to the central for the collection of semen and for the semen to be distributed nationally and even internationally. And it was developed on top of three main pillars. One of them is the issue of the animal well-being. We focus on this a lot. And the second one is concerning the handling of the animals that we have within the central. And with the third is sustainability, where there is an issue of production of forage for that is silage also that is produced within the central, bringing quality and what's distributed for the producers. and breeders. These animals required for us to provide them better comfort, security, well-being for these breeders. And thinking about this through a partnership that we established with Coima, we brought Megatron, and we realized from the very beginning an improvement that is significant, both in concerning with the handling of the animal that is quicker, and just one worker can handle all of the breeder that's going to be destined for the collection area, and also the issue of the topic of individual intervention in an animal in a specific area, the cushion walls, and that brings security for the personnel and comfort for the breeder. And Megatron brought this balance for us because we needed something like this for Central. We Coima innovation with a look to the future. As we can see here, and we collected the benefits for profit and using genetic evolution using Megatron. So, Rodrigo, I'd like to thank you for the participation in our broadcast here. And what do you consider and this for the cattle breeders to need to in terms of evolution of milk? The cattle breeder needs first of all to look at cattle breeding as something like a company and to look for the tools that it needs to sustain his business. He needs to focus on results. If he doesn't focus on results, he won't get anywhere. And in order to get to this place today without measuring animals, without working the genetics, and without working with animal improvement, he won't get anywhere. I believe, but I'm actually sure that the best way for us to make decision is with numbers. And with the numbers at hand, you can make a decision. A factor that is important to highlight is many animals with many owners, property owners, are mating, but certain bulls do not reproduce well in this farm, and he needs to know that these animals are not productive. And weighing the animals, he'll be able to choose the best animals to make decisions with better decisions. Rodrigo, thank you very much for being here, accepting our invitation. Thank you so much. And we do we hope that you can collaborate with the next meetings, right? Thank you very much, and thank you, guys. And I hope to be here in the next programs. And it's an honor to be here and ABCZ and to send a big hug to everyone abroad. In 2021, at the end of last year, we well, it was our 70th anniversary, and the celebrations did not stop, right? Even though it was at the end of the year, we celebrated throughout this year. We made a celebration video of these 70 years. Let's watch this video. New ideas come up every day. There are inspiration, dreams, plans. The starting point is the same for everyone, but the finish line is not. We believe that the choice of the path is as important as the goal. Therefore, for 70 years, we've been tracing a course and with many challenges, winnings, and steps taken towards the future. This path took us all the way to where we are now, contributing to the evolution of cattle breeding, encouraging the best practices in the activity, and to offer innovative solutions that generate value and guarantee efficiency, security, and animal well-being. Our principles made us the largest company of trunks and scales in Latin America. And it wasn't easy to get here. But for those who look for anything but excellence, the path is always harder. We opened the doors for the era of technology and what would come afterward. And we innovated with creating with differentiated solutions. We followed growing, constantly investing in research, study, and innovation. The recognition of our work put us in among the most innovative companies in Brazil, and it encouraged us to go further beyond. But nothing would be possible without God and without the key part of our structure, the right people. Our team of associates completes our family and strengthens our passion for the evolution of cattle breeding. The path is a long one. But we do know that together we're capable to offer solutions that are differentiated and the necessary support for the growth of the national cattle breeding. Coima, 70 years of innovation in technology for cattle breeding. Well, the video shows some of our history, and it shows a very beautiful message, which is people, right? All of this is possible and was possible due to us having the correct team. And I believe that almost getting to the end of our stream program, we would like to mention our last launch, which was the line Robust Plus, a new line of trunks that will enable will enable more versatility for the breeder. And we would like to watch the video first, and after that, we're going to talk about it. Koima revolutionized once again with a great launch. The new Robust Plus trunk with more efficiency in containment, handling, positioning, and new system of guillotine and ample access to the animal. More versatility with two different models with a new modular system. Focus on the animal well-being and with a system of management and rubber parts and padded laterals, and also with exclusive locks, easy lots, and with the same standard of quality of Koima. New Trunk Robust Plus. It's profit for sure for your business. Koima, technological innovation for cattle breeding. This new line, we believe it's going to, with it, we're going to be able to reach more markets, markets that have still have some restrictions. Eduardo, tell us some about the new differential of this new line. Bruno, Koima in this process of transformation, it was always the pioneer in the wood line, and but now concerned with how can I put it, with a market that is really demanding we using steel. We changed the product now in the Robust Plus. It's made with steel, revested with polyethylene with anti-stress floor. It's modular too, and that's the differential in terms of the wood because it wasn't possible to do that with wood. It's lighter and it's easier to deal with. So it's a product that came to innovate. We still manufacture the ones with wood. It's still in our production line, but concerned with wood, which is some a resource due to legal issues, we decided to migrate to steel, right? And you can say that wood it is sustainable because we only work with projects of with management handling approved by IBAMA. The whole story of Coima always had with proper handling and legal handling, and we believe in the sustainability of wood, and that's why we continue with it in portfolio. But more and more, it's scarce the availability of legal wood due to the consumption, right? And that's why we've been broadening our portfolio to allow and meet different markets, the demand of different markets. That's the interesting part, right? So when the conversation is really good, it goes by really fast, right? It was really good to be here with you, and I believe that talking about Coimbra, it's always cool, and it's a talk about technology and cattle breeding, and to be able to take our name to the rest of the world, that is a reason for pride and pleasure for us. We are available here, and everyone that's listening to us, please look for us, look our partners and our representatives and international representatives. Go to the social media, look at for our contacts. We've been part of all the fairs that Apex has been promoting. We make sure that we are part of them, and we are here available Thank you very much, Cezinho. Thank you to the all team of the ABCZ TV, the team of Brazilian Cattle as well, which is a reason of pride, Apex, that funds part of the project. We're really happy, and we thank the participants of Expogenetic, and we give you the invitation to Expo the book next year, right? Everybody has to be here available, right?
Yes, Bruno, we thank you so much for the opportunity of having you with us in our house, in your house, doing a lot more in when it comes to technology and innovations. And actually, this has already begun, right? Like you have mentioned. This full future is already now, and we're already part of that. And we can bring this future of technology to the entire world is exactly what makes us proud, right? So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart to always be here with us, to participate always in our actions and the actions of Brazilian cattle. And I am sure that we have a lot more to come.
Thank you very much, Isi. Zé, would you like to make your final remarks and for all of the audience throughout the world? Sure. I would say to cattle breeders from Brazil and the rest of the world to believe in technology. As WhatsApp is a reality and emails and virtual banks, why not cattle breeding remotely? And you can monitor your herd. Today is already a reality, and bypass scale that weighs the animals at the back of the property. You can do this. You're gonna get the data in your palm of your hands. Believe in it, and the data have always been important and they are much more important than before. You have to manage your business to be more and more profitable. Eduardo, please, thank you for being here. Would like to have final remarks. Yes, I also thank the participation on this live broadcast, and I'd like to thank for this moment to convey information to the cattle breeders today and to say that we're available in social media channels and telephone and network of representatives, and I put myself available to help them. Thank you very much, everyone, and I thank you for us. It's always an opportunity and a reason of pride to be here and to take a bit of our history, a story to the rest of the world and Brazil.
That's exactly it. As a zootechnician, to generate data and to have more information is an evolution. Congratulations for your work and congratulations for you who is there interested to improve yourself and to use technologies that we offer in the Brazilian cattle raising. Thank you so much for being here with us again. See you next time. Bye bye. Hello, my friends. It's great to have you there with us once again, participating in another live of Brazilian cattle. Now, we have another topic that is really important and really innovative for you to receive more information, which is exactly about equipments that aid in the process of cattle raising as a whole. After all, the more technology we have, the more efficiency we have as well in what we produce. And to bring you all of this information and count and tell you all of these equipments that we have to help you anywhere in the world besides Brazil, we're going to talk to people from Casale Equipments. This live is going to be really interesting, and to talk to you about this, I'm going to invite remotely Mário Casales Neto, the CEO of Casales Equipments. Hello, welcome.
Hi, AC. Good morning. How are you doing? I'm good. And you?
It's our pleasure to receive you here, not only in Expo Genetics, but also integrating the project Brazilian Cattle and having the opportunity of taking this work of excellence that you developed for such a long time. Mario, you have a technical team here present with us as well, right? So I would like to invite Diogo Fagolin, the sales expert and supervisor, and Diego Castro, the analyst of application of products. Welcome, please sit down. How are you? Welcome to the Zebu house.
Thank you very much.
But for us to start this live today, nothing better than Celsus words. Okay, so first of all, I would like for the opening words, Mr. Celso Casares, the president of the council, to give a warm welcome for you here in Brazil and all the world. Thank you. Hello, Celso.
Hi, AC. Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you and to welcome you all and that are participating of the Expogenetic and also the events of Brazilian cattle. Casale is a company that it was founded in 1964, and I wanted to speak briefly and to say a history of what happened to us over the past few years, of which I was part of. In 1978, I graduated in mechanical engineering at the Federal University of Uberlândia, and I came back to the city of São Carlos, where Casale is, and I started to work as partner of the business. And it already existed for 15 years. And in these years, we have been developing technologies that aim to meet future needs of cattle breeding in Latin America. In 1984, we were the first company of mixing nutrition for breeders, and it only existed in Europe and Latin America, in the United States up to that point. And it was a suggestion of the president of Embrapa, Brazilian company of agricultural research, and back then the president, Dizil, and he said that the future of cattle breeding and especially intensive cattle breeding, depending a lot on this kind of product that Brazil would need to master this technology. So we accepted the challenge, and since then we've been developing and we have been manufacturing a lot of machines. We lead the sector here in Brazil, not just in terms of production line. We can manage to provide we can service any size of producer or breeder and any volume, and we have many different products in our portfolio. We also manufacture other products that are connected to intensive cattle breeding, and this is going to be mentioned later. So we always try to understand the need of the breeder, the demands, and we've been developing our products that particularly for the conditions of work of Brazil and Latin America and countries that are similar to us. And we do have a product, we wanted to have a product that was appropriate for the fattening of cows and cattle and production of milk in confined cattle. And in 2000, the year 2000, we established a partnership with an American company, Omix, and they had asked a specific technology of mixers of 3 parts that we didn't have back then. And in exchange, they offered the technology of the mixing system with rotor, which was very interesting because it was useful for both companies and both markets. And we brought here the technology of the system of mixing with rotor, and our brand is Rotor Mix. And it's been 22 years manufacturing a product that is the market leader in the system of beef cattle confined. And this product has been evolving very much over the years to the point that we are, in terms of technology, we are ahead and with the American equivalent American product, the one that we had access to, and the designs as well. Nowadays, we make a machine that is much more efficient, much more reliable than because the market demands this. The Brazilian market is it's a huge challenge for manufacturers of agricultural machines, especially in cattle breeding. And recently, we launched there in AgriShow a machine that is revolutionary, which is the evolution of the system of study, which is Aurora Mix, and the machine was developed originally in of 27 size for the truck, and it's a technology that is very advanced. It has onboard computer, and it controls a lot of functions, and that's going to be explained further. But summing it up, it's a technology that provides a lot more security for the breeder of cattle in confinement because it avoids for the machine to break and stop, and especially the part of maintenance. It controls and it allows a control that is absolute by the maintaining to avoid breaking it down and to stop. And after that, we're going to explain further. But what we mean by that is even though we have a model that has this technology that we call Tech Pure, in the future we're going to have other models that are smaller as well. But what's important to know is that this knowledge allowed us to develop this product of very high technology for the sector also allows us to produce machines and manufacture machines of all models the best way possible with the best quality possible and the best technology with the highest security, operational security, and that encourages us every day to continue as a company, as an innovative company. Casale has a technology committee and innovation of high level with participation of members of research, of international renowned, and that helps us a lot to continue to our mission to develop technology and innovation for sustainable cattle breeding. So, with that, I would like to thank my participation and wish you all to enjoy the interaction, to know a little more about what we do, how we can help the breeder in the mission of cattle breeding and fattening of cattle and the milk production as well. Thank you very much. I wish you all a good event and good participations through Brazilian Cattle. And we are available here at Casale to all of you, not just concerning providing equipment, but also to exchange ideas on technologies that are applicable to the sector of cattle breeding. Here in São Carlos, we have a factory, a model farm, and where we put all our technology to work, and people can see and observe and get to know what we're doing. And if you want to see our factory, it'll be a pleasure to welcome you here. A big hug to all of you. Thank you very much for your attention.
See what we're doing. And if you want to get to know our factory, it's going to be a pleasure to see you all. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the attention. Thank you so much, Mr. Celso. Thank you so much for sharing this information. So you can see how a company is dedicated to producing and aiding, and how this comes from a long time. So, for us to continue,
Thank you, AC. Thank you so much. I'd like to thank Celso Casali, my father, the leader of our company, and the president of the board, for opening this video to us. He won't be with us anymore now, but we are going to continue with Edmilson and Diogo. Now, the idea is to chat with the cattle breeders and to talk how we can contribute with technology in machines, focus mainly in machines so that he can have a more sustainable operation. When we talk about sustainable, we mean social, economic, and environmentally sustainable. This tripod is extremely important for the breeder to continue and feed the world. Casari's purpose is to innovate and feed lives in a sustainable manner, and that's for why we get up every day and we come and work, help Brazil to feed the world and feed Brazil and other countries that we're exporting to. We want to export more and more, and we want to be uh, with other present abroad, and that's why we want to be together with you with Brazilian cattle in Expogenetics to talking to cattle breeders from abroad and potential importers that would like to work with our brand. We're selecting importers from many different countries, and if you're interested, get in touch with us. We are going to give you our contact. Casale in Brazil is what you see in the social media, Facebook, Instagram. You can send us a message there. You'll be promptly answered, and we can talk about it. So, starting here our chat, I'd like to first talk to Edmilson and Diogo to introduce themselves, to say what they do in Casale. For what we start first. First, Edmilson, please. Hi, everyone. My name is Edmilson. I am the analyst of product application in Casale Equipment, and it's a pleasure to be here in Expogenetics and to have this opportunity to bring some knowledge to our friends cattle breeders. It's a pleasure to be here at this event. My name is Diogo, and I am the sales supervisor in Casale Equipment. And it's a pleasure to talk about something that we live with in our daily lives, and it's something that we like to do. Cool, welcome. So Edmilson works in the engineering and in the engineering of application, which is a very important function for us to help cattle breeders to have a larger success with our products, to help use the best form possible the product that he has at hand, and to get the most out of it. And he works creating handbooks for the products of Casale, time of mixing, how to use better the mixer of feed, animal feed. And Edmilson is an agronomer and he has doctorate in zootechnic, and he's the right guy for this. That's helping a lot of people with his work. And Diogo is our commercial supervisor. We have three commercial supervisors in Brazil that meet foreign markets, the demands of foreign markets, and also Diogo is someone who has been with us for a long time, and he's a specialist in the choice of products. He helps our commercial consultants. We have a team there, and to help the client to make the best decision to choose the best product for their operation. starting with the breeding and the fattening and going to pasture or in confinement or semi-confinement. And we do have products to meet to service them. And Diogo with the commercial team helps in this, and he helps the operation for our client to make the best decision possible. Because Casali has a product line that with all kinds of mixers and all sizes, so regardless of your need, breeder, we will help you find the best solution. And since we have the whole line, we don't need to force or push a sale of a specific product because we offer this whole range for you to decide what the best option is for you. So I'd like to talk about of Takibu. So Diogo, can you, the rotor mix was mentioned too. So you're gonna see some pictures here of the machine, a video as well, in which you'll be able to understand it's a machine that is used for confined areas, and we had a version of 27 cubic meters, and now we have an evolution, and I'd like Diogo to explain it a little bit more. Well, talking about Tech Bull, it is a product in which we see a range and we can aggregate some technology. And as it has been mentioned, it has an onboard computer, which is a big differential in the equipment. It enables you to have settings with just with the operator directly. The machine is going to be working with maintenance. It's going to say, the equipment needs to stop to be maintained. It starts working as a manager of the daily operation. If you need to stop to put some liquid and so the equipment has this purpose where you can see you can do something before it breaks down or before there is an error. So it enables you the machine to have more availability to be used in the activity. Because a machine that is stopped, it costs money, and a bull that doesn't have feed, it costs even more. So the machine, if it wants to provide more security and right, Diego, yes, this equipment was thought out to give more available time, and it's going to be more has more longevity, and it will make us to it will help us make the maintaining that is obligatory with to lubricate all the parts without having or needing a person that would do this, because there might be an lack of a problem in operation and you forget the lubrication of these parts. So this equipment avoids human error, and it's going to tell you about the maintaining or the exchange of the oil and the liquid that has to be filled out besides other temperature controls. This is an equipment that is completely maintained, and you have cameras and the system of mixture without at the back part. And we can also follow the discharge with the onboard system. This equipment will give you more operational security. That is, the idea is for this equipment to work for a longer period of time, for more years, and without stopping so often, which are the non-scheduled stops, maybe with a breaking down or something related to it. Besides the security system in a situation of excess of load that will harm not only the equipment but also the quality of the mix. So it will wear off the equipment, and the quality of the mix of the animal feed will end up losing, making you lose in productivity. So this equipment was made to avoid human error. And what I would like to highlight here in this machine, and you've already mentioned, but I just like to complement here, is that the machine is made to increase the availability of the machine, right? So it's not still, it's working. And how does it do it? There are sensors within the equipment, rotation sensors, temperature sensors, oil pressure sensors. And with this control, the sensors send the information to the computer, and the computer realizes whether the levels are appropriate or not for the machine to work. And then it stops the machine before it breaks. So what happens in a conventional machine? Since you don't have this online information, the machine will be pushed all the way to the breakage point, and it might break any parts because you might have filled it too much or something fell into it. So this machine realizes through sensors whether there is something wrong, and before it breaks down, it stops. And what's most interesting is that if it's stopped because we forced the equipment too much, you can unload it in an isolated manner with the rotors and the other parts working separately. So you can invert the rotation to we can unload the equipment without putting people inside with shovels and other tools. It's a machine that is a it's a novelty in the mixing of animal feed. And because it is extremely innovative, it's unique in the world, and that's what Casale does. We wanted to show the DNA of Casale to innovate and feed lives in a sustainable manner. That's our purpose. So I'd like to talk about the systems that we have, the types of machines that we have to offer. And the rotor machine of rotor mix, and we also have other types of equipment for beef cattle or milk, and depending on the type of the fiber that is used, we recommend a specific type of mixer. And Casale has the largest range of mixers in the world. I'd like Diogo to talk about the types of equipments that we have for mixing. Well, currently, as Mario mentioned, we have all versions, all models, and we're going to start talking about total mix. We have the three horizontal part that work with short fiber and that can create hay too. We have the conventional version and the self-loading version. And the self-loading, and we can use all we can service all small breeders and big breeders also, and always using an appropriate mix. Our part produces a lot without any waste, while creating a lot more efficiency. Our product also innovates in terms of weighing system, in which in every model we have a software to use we can adapt to the software that the breeder is using. Now we have VertMix, which is a mixing system in the vertical manner. And we also have models. There are traction with conventions and with the one with the self-loading system. We have many different sizes, and there are different options of indicators that can connect to any management software that the breeder is using. And now going into the rotor, we've already mentioned the Tech Bull, which is an innovative system. Concerning the rotors, we have sizes that are similar to trucks, and we also have the traction versions as well to meet the needs of confined areas, and with QTS kit USC for the supplementation of pasture. These versions are directed for the public that works with semi-confinement supplementation to pasture, and we have a product with cargo cells that are special. The rotated part is adjusted for the Brazilian conditions, and we can deliver with extensible to work outside these areas and everything that the semi-confinement needs, which is a product that has the mold of the Brazilian DNA. As Diogo has mentioned, he's already mentioned the three main systems of mixing which are used in the world, which are the ones that we also use and we offer in the market. And within these systems, we have the one with three parts and three threads. And always thinking about evolution within the TMX system, we also have the TMX SC, which is a launch now that is connected to the semi-confinement. And there is a unloading through a Mangote and Chupin, and you have more control and more precision to with the distance and the height where you're gonna be able to unload these ingredients, so you can meet a larger demand of feeding troughs. And it was also thought for semi-confinement, thinking about concentrate. It uses more grains, and it can also use short fiber because it has the stata optional and especially due to the nutrition, right, and the diet and the ingredients that are used in this type of nutrition. It has the stainless steel trunk, and it is a very good equipment. In the vertical line, we also have the second system with the vertical thread. We've been working with this system and we are looking at the future and the needs of our clients here. One of the things that we wanted to see it was the weighing and the self-loading too. So we have the vertical with the self-loading system, and it is made in a way that it isolates the weighing scale, and we have a higher precision during the loading and the weighing as a whole. Therefore, we can load and unload this equipment without any variation in the weighing. So there is no difference. Exactly, that's very important. So we have more precision during the loading of the ingredients, and that's gonna have a more accurate diet, then it's closer that it is closer to what was planned. It's important to highlight that the vertical loading we have the 2 cubic meters that is smaller for cattle breeders with a smaller group of animals for fattening and for breeding too and for milk, and it's self-loading. And the important part about it is that besides facilitating the operation, you can compact the silo and you can leave the air with so the air doesn't go through the silo, because when you use a specific another one machine and you start getting the silo, it's going to start to make micro fissures and air goes into it and you lose quality. And with this machine, you can guarantee this protective wall. And we have the vertical of 2, 5, and 7 cubic meters. And we also have the total mix of self-loading since 2.5 up to 12 cubic meters. All right, Nilsson. Yes, and the vertical itself, thinking about the largest breeders, we have 160 that is a launch that has unloading through any side. It's bilateral. You can unload from one side or the other to ease this management depending on the structure of the confinement. And it has two parts and it has vertical actually vertical parts that make the system to be mixed in a homogeneous way to use hay ball to come up with hay balls, and you can use this material to work with a lot of volume with longer fibers. So the vertical parts equipments are used to work with long fibers, so you can use hay balls and you can use within the equipment. And also we work with silage, and with long fibers we can also make silage of corn and other also green grass. The vertical is a little shorter, so you can make a mix that is quicker than the regular one, and we can also have the 20 cubic meters that is fraction or in set up in a truck. So it was excellent. We could give an overview of the machines that we have, since the ones for confinement, semi-confinement, machines that are ready for pasture. More and more animals. We have animals in the trough and in the confinement. Thanks to the technologies and the possibility to have machinery to bring this animal feed. And since 2000, we have 14 feeders now, and feeders are the distributors of animal feed. They just distribute. They don't mix. We have the 2 cubic meter feeder that is a small machine of 2 cubic meters, and you can put mineral salt to distribute it, and it's the size that fits a baguette of animal feed or mineral salt, and it's very easily operated and also has the electronic scale. It's important to highlight that all our machines come with this electronic scale. It's really important because if you do not do the mix with what you're going to put within the feeder or the mixer or feed, you won't have the guarantee that the animals will eat exactly the same thing. So it's extremely important for the mixer to have a scale. Never buy a mixer without a scale. And if the machine doesn't have a scale, it's not a total mixer, because it's important to guarantee the routine within a confinement and milk operation or a breeding operation. And I'd like to ask Edmilson to talk about the importance of routine and the animal feed mixer in an operation of cow-calf operation. The importance is very important of the routine, because it's always important to provide the same feed in the same time, at the same time, and the same type of feed. And you follow a pattern of standardization of diet, and that interferes directly in the environment of the animal and consequently with the results. So every time that you have an equipment and I'm working with it and it stops and there is a problem, so you don't feel safe with that equipment, that will affect the performance of the animals. So there'll be consumption that will go up and down, and you won't be able to establish a standard, and the final result is for us to have harms. And routine is extremely important. In this sense, we usually say that the client needs a backup equipment, thinking about the maintenance of this routine, keeping this routine. Because if there is an equipment and he will have to make preventive maintenance and he cannot stop using the equipment, but he should have a backup, it has to be used 2 or 3 times a week to make sure that it is working properly, so that when you need it, it doesn't have a problem as well. So we need an equipment that is going to work, which is the official one, and the backup in if there is any need, but this backup has to be used so we can make sure that it's working properly. That it's important point to keep the routine in dealing with the animals, and not to influence the trough, and also because when there is this oscillation, you'll end up prolonging the confinement, because you'll need more days than to have the expected result. So with the cost of operation today, the inputs are very expensive, more and more processed input, and to have a better absorption. And if you cannot lose time or miss days of work, the more efficient and assertive, the better your operation and the better your confinement. And it's interesting for us to mention the importance of the mixer, because we're talking about the mixer, but we haven't explained very well the concept of the mixer. Some breeders might not know it very well. So we understood in 1984, at the request of Embrapa, that we should manufacture a animal feed mixer. due to the microbiota and bacteria that are present in the inside of the animal. They have to be constant. There can be no oscillation or variation. So to guarantee that the food that is there should be used the best way possible by the animal. And that is only possible if you can guarantee every day for animals to eat the same thing. And in order to do that, the mix has to be complete with a standard animal feed with the quantity that is standardized and the weight and the mix from the first animal that is in the trough all the way to the last one has to be the same one. So that's why we perform quality analysis with stages, and which are those SIFs. And we do this periodically, and these tests in pilot lots. We always check whether our machine is providing the best quality possible, because that is essential. It's no use to manufacture a machine that is going to solve only an operational part, but there will be other problems, and even including the performance and the health of these animals. So the quality of the mix is essential, and Casale is a specialist in this. Talking about specialty, I'd like to ask Diogo to tell us a bit, tell us how the specialists in mixing the feed we help us to make the client to make the best decision when we go to the property in terms of logistics. What is the conclusion that we reach in terms of the size of the equipment? How do we do that, Diogo? Well, guys, when we receive a project and when the client has a specific demand, we analyze many different factors to make the decision with the client and to present solutions. We have to remember that mixer is at the heart of the activity. Everything that you plan all the way to get this, you bought the best input and corn and soy. At the time that you have to make the mix, you have to know what's best. So we assess many points: distance, logistic, how many animals there are, the amount of lots that will be used. And we usually say that it's important to consider the consumption of fuel of the machine and the types of diet considering this. And there is not a specific model. Every property has a specific demand and a solution that is different. So using this and assessing this with the know-how that the company has, and if there is any question, everybody will try to come up with a solution with the client to present it to it. And we show going to be the most efficient solution for presented by Casale. It's like Diogo mentioned it, there is no solution, one solution fits all. Every reality, that's why we have many different types of mixers to meet the demand of the client with the types of diet and the ingredients that they use. When we go to the property and we go to assess the real need, because sometimes the client thinks he needs something and in reality it's different from what he actually needs. So our consultant, when he goes to the farm and he understands the real reality, the need of the client, it's an extremely important factor in defining the correct equipment that is going to be chosen. Something that I like to remember is that when defining the size of the machine, he has to make a long-term math. And a machine is going to last for 15 years, and if it's well maintained, it can last for a long time. We see machines that have been manufactured in '84 using the first model. We can put it here in the screen. The first model that we manufactured, a red and yellow machine. We still see these machines operating 37 years working. So it depends a lot on the type of maintenance that is made and what is made in the machine. So when you make a decision, it's important that the long term, what the machine is going to help you with in terms of operational cost, whether fuel and work and the maintenance as well. For example, you're going to buy a machine and you think, you know what, I'm going to save on the machine, and you start the whole day with a person operating with the tractor and working with the machine 8 hours a day. So there will be more maintenance, and you're going to use diesel, and you have to pay for the operator as well. So we usually say it maybe it's better for you to have a larger machine that will work fewer hours. You're not going to use so much diesel, fewer hours of the operator. So we have to look at it when we make a decision in choosing the machine, because very often the person is doing the math in concerning of considering the investment, but it does forgets this part in the long term. But you cannot get a machine that is too large and at a point that it will not have the correct mixture. So in a machine that has those three parts, you have to guarantee that it makes the whole movement with to correct the feed completely. The rotor, the same thing. It's important to get to the top part. So the vertical is the one that is able to use with lower or smaller levels. It doesn't have to be so full because it works from bottom to top. You can work even with larger machines. So we always ask the client to make this decision to decide the machine that is going to buy. Besides the feed mixers, we also have the feeders. We have distributors of manure, and you can see here the distributors of manure. They're made with galvanization to fire to guarantee the longevity of this machine, since it's working with manure and other ingredients that are very aggressive to the material. So it's much more stronger. It's different from the superficial galvanization. So it fuses the components. Our feeder also has this type of galvanization of 4.5 or 7.5, and the small one of 2 cubic meters. It is fitted with a plastic that is molded that guarantees also the longevity of the equipment. And we also have the collectors of forage. We have CRC that makes the silage of grass, and we ask you to come into our website to know our portfolio at www.casale.com.br. Please go to our social media, Casale Brazil. You can have a lot of YouTube videos to follow us. You can please subscribe on Instagram as well, Casale Brazil, Facebook, all of them, Casale Brazil. We invite you all to follow us. And now we here want to show you our contact of WhatsApp, which is the number of our PABX. It'll be on the screen here now, which is 5516-3411-5000. That number, you can get in touch with us on WhatsApp. It's a WhatsApp business. Even being a cell phone number, it works on WhatsApp. And you can call it to our PABX, and you can talk to us on our social media areas. I'd like to thank hugely, because we're getting close to the end, and I'd like to thank EC and the team of Expogenetics. It was a pleasure to be here once again here in Brazil Cattle Program. I'd like to thank Diogo Edmilson that were also present in the studio in Uberaba to be with you. So we'd like to thank you all, and we invite you all to come here in São Carlos, to visit our company, to see our operation of our model farm, Fazenda Integração, and to look at the machines working. It'll be a pleasure to welcome you here in São Carlos, in São Paulo State. So I thank you all, Diogo Edmilson, thank you, Isi, and a big hug to all of you.
Mario, thank you so much immensely. Your participation was wonderful, sharing with us all of this information, these technologies that aid us so much, the producers, the breeders in the field, and Brazil and anywhere in the world. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. Thank you, Mario. Thank you, all of the staff from Casale, for trusting in the Brazilian cattle work and always participating in our activities. I wish you all a lot of success, not only in Expo Genetics, but all throughout the other years. Thank you so much for your participation here in another live of the Brazilian cattle. Remain here with us. It's always good to have you here with us, close to us, even though you are on the other side of the world. Receive our hugs, and we'll see each other soon. Bye bye.
And we start now, once again, a podcast that you cannot miss because, truthfully, today here I have an excellent team. Excellent, top of the line. And of course, it's the team of field technicians of ABCZ. And of course, our topic today is Brazil is too small for us. After all, we have technicians of ABCZ all around the country every day in the fields. So every day we have basically 100 technicians working all throughout the country, working with breeding, registry, selection. So not only you here in Brazil can have the best quality of zebu, but everyone all around the world can be able to trust the genetics we produce. Of course, this is something that goes through the hearts and the minds of all the technicians that work in our house. So, to tell you a little bit of this wonderful work, I don't have the sound. Patricia, interpreter, don't have the sound. He's the manager of the office and also a technician from the city of Redenção. And I have here beside me our partner, our friend André Borges, that is the manager and the technician of the city of Cuiabá. And André, oh, actually, let me have an aside here. He has just received the merit of technician. He's not only very welcome, but also we want to give you congratulations for the acknowledgement that you have received. Thank you very much. Oh, please don't be nervous. Here we want to hear everything. It's like a chat, a conversation. I want to hear all the problems that happen there in Mato Grosso. Here with us, we have Fernando Sintra. He's a technician in Belo Horizonte. But to tell you the truth, he lives near the city of Porto Seguro. That's bad, huh? He lives in the city of Almenara and he goes to the beach wearing his hat, his boots. He just removes the boots to tip his toes in the water. That's what happens. It's a pleasure to be participating here with all of you, and I hope that we can tell a little some stories, some anecdotes that happened to us on the day today. That's right. It's almost what 20 years of ABCZ, right? Almost 20, I think. 19, 19. André, only you. You are the only one who has been here longer than I have. I say that I've been here for almost 20 years because André was the one who trained me. I was working in Cuiabá. He trained me over there. Oh, I will tell you another thing in a minute. Let me introduce somebody else. Marcelo Garcia, technician from Goiânia. How are you? Thank you, Isi, for the invitation. We are here to tell the stories that we go through in our lives as technicians. That is one day in each place. I usually say that my wife asks my for my ID card to see if it's me really who is arriving. Well, guys, I have to tell you something. I am very glad, very satisfied to introduce to you this beautiful woman, talented, competent Marcela Galvão. We're talking here about how long we have been here in the house, right? But I have to say that Marcela was my intern in the technical area of ABCZ. And I am very proud to have Marcela here with me. Marcela works in Fortaleza. This wonderful, competent woman lives in Fortaleza. She deserves it. I am very proud of all the women that work in this house that are technicians like we are. And I'm always inspired by Eliana. Eliana, Big hugs to you. She was the first technician. When I got to IBCZ, she was the only woman technician. So she's an inspiration to me. And it's very good to see Marcela here developing such important work, such beautiful work. I'm very proud of you, Marcela. Thank you, EC. Thank you for opening the first door. The first door opened to me was EC, and I was her pupil. We sometimes don't tell because sometimes people don't like, right? Oh no, 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 no! Don't worry. I've been in ABCZ for what 23 years. I EC took very good care of me and gave me a lot of good advice in the beginning. Wow, girl, you have you are the so you have overcome the master here. Come on. Thank you for the opportunity to being here today. So, guys, let's lay it all out on the table here. Spill the beans. I would like to tell you who's in Brazil or anywhere in the world because we always say that we literally can reach any place in the world. I would like to say that the impeccable work these technicians carry out with such huge dedication, as Marcelo said, traveling a lot every day in a different place, they are really working with a lot of love, and I always say, when we work with love, everything works out fine. Our technical body is like that. They work with a lot of love and dedication. They face several challenges throughout the development of this work. And I would like you to know, to understand that Brazil is a huge country. That's why we have so many technicians that are well trained to work here. And sometimes they even help with the work of selection and some specific works in different countries, especially in Latin America. So we have here a team of experts, really. And I would like you guys to tell a little bit of everything that happens around the job. Good things, bad things, happy moments, challenging moments, because our work, the work of a technician, is very peculiar, right? Today, earlier, I said that I still say that even working now in the international department, the best days of my life are still the ones that I can wake up on a farm. And I think that will be like that forever. And I believe for you as well, right? I would like to hear a little bit from you, Andre. Andre, you are our merit, so please start talking. Well, easy. And everyone, I went to Mato Grosso in 88. Andre, did you graduate here in Favzu? Yes, yes, I graduated here in Favzu. Aurelio as well. Marcelo as well. Oh, most of us, right? Most of us. And we were all students of Dr. Noel, right? Yes, yes, I'm very proud of having been Dr. Noel's student. So I went to Mato Grosso because there was only one person working there and 120 associates in the whole state. And from 88 to now, 23 years, right? 23 years. And we didn't have a big structure there. There was a farm that I went to visit. I don't know if you remember this one, Fernando. It was called Porto Espiridião. No, no, Porto dos Gaúchos. Porto dos Gaúchos. There are a lot of farms called Porto, but this was Porto dos Gaúchos. It was the northeast of the state. I took a bus in Cuiabá at night. It was called Expresso Maringá. I got off in Sinop, 500 k's away. And in the bus there was like children crying. There were drunk people. Oh yeah, and there was probably some chicken in the bus as well, right? Oh yeah, the chicken were not present there yet. Okay. But anyway, I got off in Sinop and I was waiting. It was like 5 a.m. And I was waiting for the other bus that was going to take a dirt road so that I could get to Porto dos Gaúchos. I was going to get off in a in a in a small market where the people from the farm was going to pick me up. When I got there, I got off the bus. There was a truck. They were there to pick me up, and that was not a problem. I carried out my service. And when I was supposed to go back, it was in the same place. Okay, so the lunch, the bus used to stop there for lunch, right? The small restaurant and market, and I was waiting. So the driver took me there by truck, and then I said he could go, and I'm waiting for the bus, right? I knew that it was supposed to be at lunchtime, and so I was having lunch, and whenever that happens, these buses, they stop everywhere. They stop at a lot of places. And you have the bus driver and the person who charges you for the ticket. Everything at that time was done by hand. They would write down your name and stuff. So the driver got off the bus and said, "Don't need to worry. The bus has a bit of a problem in the gearbox, so we're gonna take some time." So all the women, the pregnant women, the children, a lot of people got off the bus, and there was some chicken this time. Everyone was headed to the city of Sinop. And what are we gonna do? So the guy that was charging the tickets, he got a ride to go back to another city and get a spare bus. There was no cell phone at this time, all right? So he went back to try to get another bus. I think he was actually running away from the problem that we would have. And then a truck arrived from Atacadão, Bauru. And the driver of the truck and two of his assistants stopped there. One of the passengers from the bus paid a big coke for this driver so that he could get a ride with the truck driver. And people started thinking, well, this is bad. Okay, this was already 2 in the afternoon. And then this when the driver paid his bill to go away, they the people, the women, the pregnant women, the children, the drunk people, they wouldn't let the truck leave because they wanted to leave with the truck as well. And then the truck put these people in the truck bed, all right, because they demanded to go. And I myself had to do the same because otherwise I would be stuck there. I was one of the last to get on the truck bed. And there was the side door of the truck was tied with a wire. It was like a nightmare scenario. And after a few kilometers in this dirt road, we no, you don't have any idea what is to ride on a truck bed in a dirt road. It was like dust everywhere. You couldn't even breathe. It was a story that I will never forget. Wow, that was painful. Come on. Wow. Imagine so many difficulties that you guys have to face, right? And what about Redenção, Aurelio? Do you want to talk a little bit about Redenção? When you got there, what was it like? Well, it is still hard, but it has been worse. At least now we have cell phones and internet. The farms have Wi-Fi. In the past, if they had anything, was an amateur radio that depended on a service of retransmission from the city. So if there was no one in the office of the farm, you could be saying, calling anyone, that wouldn't anyone would appear. But an interesting story is that once I was traveling to a city and I had always gone by plane in the past. This was in 2004. It was the year where we had a lot of rain. So we went through Xinguara, and from then on, it was all dirt road. It was the first time that I was going by car. The first village right after Xinguara, it was called Xinguarinha. There was like 8 kilometers worth of mud on the road. Wow, it's not just a mud like we have here. It was just like, no, it was a huge one. And it was just the first. But we were lucky because one of the managers of a farm a little bit ahead, he was coming to the city. So he sent a truck to tow everyone. They ended up towing 30 or 50 trucks. And 6 kilometers later, there was another uh, huge mud stretch. So the truck, there were like 8 trucks that had already sunk in that one. And I was thinking, wow, we should stop here because it's very close of Xinguara. I think up ahead is going to be even worse. But I know that we went, and when we got to Aguazu do Norte, we had another 10 kilometers of mud on the road. It was every time that we reached these places where there was this lots of mud, somebody was like pulling somebody else with a tractor, but it took us 14 hours to drive 400 k's. We got there, it was night, and the hotel didn't have hot water or air conditioning. Oh, that's what I was going to ask. The problem is not the exactly the cold water that we can live with, but what about the mosquitoes? Oh, the mosquito was terrible. Oh, and by the way, guys, we had to go back, right? So imagine. Oh, you spent one week to do working, and you think if there is more rain, I can't leave this place ever again. But finally, in the end, things worked out. Now, I have something to tell. I know that there are a lot of problems. There could be problems, but there must be very good to live in Fortaleza, right, Marcela? Please tell some stories. Yes, living in Fortaleza is quite different. When I went, I was training with João Eudes. He was like, "No, you're going to Ceará. There's nothing there. You're going to register only the geckos in the street, and you go to the beach, and you're going." Oh, but I said, "No, wait a bit. I'm gonna take the pictures of me working." But thankfully, it's a region that it's very different because I grew up in the region of Uberaba and Mato Grosso. If I tell you the first challenge that I had was when I was wearing my boots and Andre was registering the 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 cattle, and he helped me a lot. He le- he deserves today. I will not tell all his stories. Okay, he deserves a break today. But in Ceará, people they can do a lot with very little. Sometimes I looked at places and I said, wow, there is nothing here, but they find a way, and they find a way to make it work. Now, in terms of the structure and travelings, I have one nice story. The breeder told me what I had to do. You're going to do this and that, and you're going to get to this place, and there will be a truck waiting for you. I drove 6 hours from Fortaleza to there. The road was good enough, and they said, now you leave your car here, and we're going by truck. All right, we're going by truck. So there I was. It was very hot, no air conditioning, 43 degrees Celsius. And he said, "Oh, I will just drop off my wife and my father-in-law, my mother-in-law somewhere." I said, "Okay." And then this guy arrives. He was what, 100 years old, and his wife was pregnant, so I had to go to the truck bed. I had not looked in the truck bed. There was 3 pigs. Okay, there were 3 pigs that were all dirty. There were suitcases. I was trying not to put the suitcase near the hogs so that I it wouldn't smell, but so we went. There are several points in the states where you go up and up. So it started. So the truck was when I saw that because the truck was very moving a lot. I was touching the pigs, and I was so completely dirty. It was my first car, my new car, and I got there. I was completely dirty, and I was very afraid of getting my car dirty. It was 40 kilometers up and down, going through rivers, and the dust was going up. My hair was huge, and I don't know. I got to the farm and said like, "Oh, my hair is going to." I couldn't put my hat on because the wind was taking it away. And when we got there, I said like, "Oh, let's work." Okay, so where's the cattle? Oh, I'm gonna get the herd. All right, so I'm waiting there under a tree. He went to get the herd, and he came back with one head of cattle with a rope. He was he and I asked, "Well, but aren't we going to the corral?" He said, "No, we don't have one." I said, "What?" And this was 2 in the afternoon under a very hot sun, no food. So ABCZ is a vice and a passion that we take in our hearts because we go through so many things, and then you ask yourself, what am I doing here? But then in the next year, I thought, oh, I went there to the same place, but this time everything was much better. He had the corral, he had the structure, the improvement. We saw the improvement of the whole structure of the herd. It's a pleasure and a satisfaction that I feel that's very gratifying. And sometimes we don't even believe that we are going through these things, but in the end, it pays off. It's sensational. I can't even explain. It's so good when you see things evolving and changing. Yes, it's always in that sense, right? When you see a good cow calving and you see that beautiful calf being born, my heart beats faster in my when I see something like that. We even forget about the challenges and the difficulties that we have on the day to day. I believe that Goiás today is a very fancy state, right? But it has not always been like that. Well, I can tell you that Goiás is beautiful, and everything goes well. I had more problems when I went to Bahia, actually. But we have to think that there's so many things to tell. I don't even know where to start, right? I have to think about it. But once I visited a breeder in Sobradinho. Sobradinho is you go from Bahia, you're in Bahia, go from Salvador, Feira de Santana, Petrolina, and you have to go through Pernambuco. So when we got there to Pernambuco, we stopped at a gas station, and they had something that they called the new King of Cangaço, which is a kind of a thief that we had in the past that robbed cattle in the middle of the Northeast. So the breeder was there. We started to get into Pernambuco. We drove what 50 kilometers, so then we could go back to Bahia to Sobradinho. And I'm driving the guy's truck, and then suddenly a stone hits the the window of the car, and he said, "No, let's stop." And I said, "No, I'm not going to stop. If we stop, we're gonna be robbed here." Somebody threw a stone and broke the window of the car, and then we stopped in the gas station to remove the glass and stuff, and then we got to the farm and we were doing the work. It was 2 days work, and the breeder ordered a new window for the car, but it would take 10 days. He would stay there, but I said, I can't stay here, I have to go. And he said, no, there is a bus that goes. Okay, so I'm going on this bus. I did the service, and he paid me in cash. I came for the ABCZ, right? My part and ABCZ part, he just gave me this wad of cash. I put it in my bag and I said, "Well, I'm going." Right? I was hugging my bag, holding on to it for all it was worth. I said, "If I lose this, I die." So the I got on the bus, and when we got to Pernambuco again, we saw another bus that was stopped in a restaurant on the side of the road, and they asked us to stop. And then we asked, "What happened?" He said, "No, up ahead there is a lot of rocks, and they are ready to rob the buses." And I was like, "Oh my God." So these buses, there were four buses that stopped in that restaurant, and they called the police. The police is coming, isn't coming. So we were waiting, and while we were waiting for the police, the drivers wanted to go together and just to go through make a convoy and run through the stones. And I thought, well, if this does they can't go, how am I going to explain to ABCZ that I was robbed? I can't explain that. And this discussion, don't go, we go, we don't go. I looked at the horizon and I saw a truck with a lot of people sitting on the bed of the truck. And everyone was coming. So what I did, I said I hid behind one of the buses because I was afraid that that truck was a truck of other robbers, but it wasn't. Thankfully, it was the police. And then the first police officer that came down, he ended up shooting, and you have no idea how many people started running around, and they actually crawled under the bus, and a lot of people went to inside the restaurant and said, "No, no, 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 we are the police." Okay, calm. They surveyed everyone. They said we're there for 4 hours. Okay, and we finally got to Bahia, and they said, "Okay, so from now onwards you don't have police uh, help anymore." But I thought I was going to die in the bus because the driver was so afraid of being late that he started speeding in such a way. And I tried to sleep, but whenever I tried to sleep, I would wake up. And although we stopped for 4 hours, he ended up being only half an hour late, which means he speed up so much. Oh, honey, if you had 9 lives at some point, now you only have 8. Oh, actually, I have 7. Don't worry. Well, good, Fernando. Tell us about Almenara. Tell us about that area. What are the challenges that you have in Almenara? I will tell you one from the beginning when I joined ABCZ in Mato Grosso. Oh my God, all the stories are about Mato Grosso. Yeah, yeah, we miss it a lot. I miss it a lot. Since everyone is telling about their trips, I went to a farm. Andre made a map for me to get to the farm, 90 kilometers of dirt road. And I said, well, the boss told me I go. So I saw the kilometers and I started going. I thought that I was going to get there during the day, but I couldn't. There was like 7 p.m., it was 8 p.m., and I passed through a hole on the road, and then my tire, I had a flat. There was still 12 kilometers to get to the farm. It was 9:30 and it was raining and everything was dark, and I was like, "Oh my God, what am I going to do? I'm going to walk. It's 12 kilometers. I'm going to walk." So the only way, so started walking, and and I walked a little bit and I heard the sound, I heard that it sounded like a cat, but then I thought, "Oh, it's a jaguar." And when we are walking in the farms at night, I remember that somebody taught me that we get a branch of a tree and we pass it on the ground all the time so that it makes noise and so the jaguar doesn't come. So I went back to the truck. I got my machete and I got a branch of a tree, and I went and I did it twice. And when I got to the farm, I was like half dead. I had been dragging that branch for 12 kilometers. Okay. So when I got there, the dogs came on to me, you know. The dogs were, and so I knocked on the door of the farmhouse. The guy said, "Wow, I thought you were going to get earlier. This 11 p.m." And I told him what happened, that there was no way to get earlier, and I was so hungry. He said, "Oh, wait a second. I'll call my wife. She will get you some dinner." The wife got up, kind of angry. No, she was super angry. He said, "Oh, I have some leftover rice. I'm gonna fry an egg for you." And I was so hungry that I said, "Great, one egg and with a little bit of rice, I'm gonna die. One egg only." But I was lucky because he asked, "How do you like your eggs?" And I said, "Well, when I eat eggs, I like two. One that is hard boiled, and the other one soft boiled." And then she did. That's what she did. And then I could least eat two eggs. Wow, imagine how hungry you were. I can imagine. Oh, it was so hard in the beginning. We do have a lot of anecdotes to tell. Oh, of course. We can stay here for several days telling these stories. And that's so good. But there is something else that I think is good to tell that in similar to what Marcella mentioned, which is how glad we are when we see the breeder farms improving, especially because we go through unimaginable things, right? But seeing the evolution of our associates bring great satisfaction to us, and we are very grateful for the opportunity of seeing that, of living through that. I believe that in the last, what, let's say 2 decades mostly, in the last 2 decades, we could see really in practice a huge evolution in the Brazilian herd. I think we can live that. The PMGZ, our genetic breeding program, has leveraged this work. And I believe today we have the possibility of seeing very good results. Of course, we still have a lot to improve, to evolve, thanks God. And thanks God, we have a lot of work, right, for all the technicians for a long time to come. That's the best part. Because we know very well, and in the beginning of the week, Josaka and Henrique were here with us telling all the things. I asked Josakian why he lost all the hair on his head in these 30 years of ABCZ. But now it's very well known that we always share this information that in addition to the numbers, breeding is done with eyes and numbers, not just numbers. Without the visual inspection of our technicians, without their capacity of analyzing the animals visually and putting together this knowledge with the numbers that are generated by the genetic improvement program, we are not able to have a balanced result, an efficient result with accuracy and so on. So, breeding is made of numbers and the trained eyes of our professionals. And you guys are experts in this work. So, I would like to hear from you a little bit on that. How do you see the work that has been done in the last 20 years? And what do you think is ahead of us for the next generations? What is to come, Marcelo? I believe we have a lot of good things ahead of us. I'm sure of that. I got into ABCZ in 92. And you were, well, I thought that I was winning. I thought I was winning. No, no. In fact, I started when I was at university. I got an internship, a half the time internship. I got what? Half a minimum salary. Oh, we all were interns. Me too. They didn't even pay me. Well, I think that a good example that I have to tell you in Goiás, when I started doing the registry for Santa Clara Farm, we started, as I said before, we already had the CDP. So we weighed the animals, we issued reports of weighing, and that was where we how we did the selection for the breeder farms. And now we have a lot of things, EPDs, we have mating data, we have a lot of data, but that's not enough. This farm that I'm talking about, for example, when I started there, we had animals that had good numbers. They had good numbers. And I said to the breeder, look, we need to start separating these animals and looking at them. What are we going to look for? We're going to look at the calves. We're going to separate them. We separate 3 by 3 and so that we can observe. And then we have the definitive registry looking for increasing the selection pressure. Yes, increasing the selection pressure. And today is incredible. I don't have one animal with a twisted horn or without pigmentation because flaws we can eliminate. The animal is very good, but it has a flaw. It has a flaw. Goodbye. It's selection. It's a real selection. And this selection, you can see when you get there, you see the herd going by and you see the satisfaction of the breeder of having a consistent herd with genetic variability and a very similar morphology. This is very good. Be able to provide that to the breeder. Of course, we have to bear in mind what the breeder wants, right? What's the goal of your work, right? If you carry out work and then the breeder say, "Oh, no, I don't like that," it he doesn't stay with you. So we have to have a synergy, a very strong synergy with the breeder to understand what they want, and us as technicians, we have to help them do what they want within their farm. Yes, right. We have to try to meet the needs of each work, of each breeder, and each herd. That's what's good. And also for us technicians, that's very gratifying. Oh, of course. That's what I say. We always see a better animal being born, a wonderful cow with their progeny. That's sensational. Anywhere, yes, anywhere in Brazil, actually, anywhere you can find ABCZ in Brazil. And as we were saying before, the PMGZ, it's a tool that we have that in the future we will have more tools. I believe that in the future we will have more tools. These tools will help us in the strategy within the farm. However, who determines the strategies is the breeder together with us, the technicians. We are the ones who provide the guidance for this strategy. So we will never lose the phenotype, the criteria of looking at the animal, the view, the perspective of the technician. Our body of technicians, we are very dedicated, but we also have something else. We look at it with passion. Yes, I don't doubt that. This is a characteristic of all the technical body of ABCZ. Everyone is different, everyone has a different profile, but the passion is the same. This is anywhere in Brazil that we go, right, Aurelio? From north to south. Yes, it's true. When I went first to Tocantins and then Pará, it was a period in which a lot of breeders started their work. A great part with a registry of LA, and now we call it PA. But these breeders, they have a herd that evolved a lot. Some of them don't have one single PC animal in the farm. Most of them are PO with the evolution of the genealogy. The breeders are doing this improvement. They're participating in the PMGZ, and the breeders have aggregated value, and they are acknowledged by the market as well. So for us who started some of these works, for us it's extremely gratifying. As anyone who has seen a breeder farm like that, evolving like that, we we feel great satisfaction. I feel accomplished. That's what we like, right? Fernando, what about you? You with this huge hat. I'm sure that when you get to the farm, people look at you and say, "Ooh, the expert is here. He's going to register everything, right?" Right. As you said, this passion that we have for the service for ABCZ, only the ones who are here feel that. Because I say sometimes our colleagues that are here working in the office, for example, they sometimes they don't have any idea of what we go through. Is it good? Yes. Is it gratifying? Yes. But also stay in a hotel room alone. It's something that we're the only ones who knows, like, what it is like to stay 15 days, 20 days away from home. Sometimes the farmers invite us for dinner, for a chat, but sometimes we get to the hotel at 6 in the afternoon and we leave at 6 in the morning. Well, that's the time when I personally like to compose songs. Right, that's true. What keeps us in this job is the passion we have for Zebu and for breeding. I am not only in love with Zebu, but there are some technicians that say, I am in love with progenetics. You know? Oh, it's fantastic, isn't it? Right. In 2006, Chiquinho and I did that. We have been working with that. We did what, 8, 9 fairs some years. Wow. Imagine how many small breeders you were able to help, how many people received quality genetics and were able to change the lives of their families. So it is really beautiful. I say it's beautiful work. Well, it's extremely gratifying. Some cities we went, we did 8, 9 fairs, and they said, "Oh, it changed the region, it changed the buyers." Sometimes I was offering cattle for what, 15 people, but now people are coming to me. Many people are coming asking for priority to buy the calves. So it changes the quality, it changes the economy of the region and even the self esteem of the small breeder. So it's extremely gratifying. And I thank a lot ABCZ for having put the program Progenetics to work so that I could be able to participate of so many fairs as I do. Something that I love is that when we give out the seminars, I like to talk. I like people to interact with me. And what makes me the happiest is when I come back in the next year in a fair, an old guy comes and say, "No, come and see the calves that were born." And they want us to go visit and see the calves being born. The person is very happy. I want to see your comments. I want to hear what you have to say, right? Yes, that's extremely gratifying. And they come and ask me my help to help choose a bull. I say, well, I cannot help you choose a bull, but if you tell me what you want, I can tell you what to do in your farm. I can give you some guidance. It's extremely gratifying, the progenetic. You know that today we have progenetics even in Bolivia, right? Yes. No, I didn't know that. Do you think progenetics is only down there in your area? You're sorely mistaken. It's a wonderful thing. Made in Brazil. People from Emater in the region of Vale do Jequitinhonha, they are different. You should see how dedicated they are. Oh, actually, hugs to you guys from Emater. Send a hug to the people of Emater in Vale do Jequitinhonha. They work a lot. We have a very strong partnership. And now we are going to carry out 2 more fairs there. There are 2 scheduled. And I'm very passionate with the breeding, with the PO cattle, but also the breeding that we do to help the small breeders. Because when we go there and we see the small farmers buy a bull, if we didn't have progenetics, they would never have the opportunity of having a PO bull in an auction. It's there, but they don't have this ability of choosing a bull in 3, 4, 5 minutes in an auction, right? So sometimes the guy arrives at 9 a.m. They look at the bull. They say, "Ah, I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna call my wife or my uncle, my grandfather." Then everybody comes to see the bull, and when they make a decision, they buy the bull. They make a huge party. Yes, that changes the quality of life of people, and that's what I like the most. I know what you're talking about. I always say that whenever I have the opportunity to open a new market, and see, I'm not talking just about Brazil, I'm talking abroad as well. Whenever we have the opportunity to open a new market, we are doing the same that Progenetica does. We're bringing genetics to improve the quality of life, the livestock production of another country. And this is exactly what you do within each one of your regions. Actually, it's what ABCZ does with the partnership in Brazil as a whole. And we feel very proud of having such projects in our house. It is excellent. So now, Andre, our merit guy, our emeritus guy. Our time is up. Did you know that? It's not possible. Come on. Oh, the guys are telling me they're waving from back there. But we need to hear something from you. You know that. Well, you guys talked about PMGZ. It's a very consistent program that give us a very strong foundation in Mato Grosso. Oh, actually, all around Brazil. But it's bringing us a lot of responsibility because in Mato Grosso, but I would prefer to say, is the ninth largest herd in the world. And 90%, I will say 90, but it may be more, okay, is the bull. Wow. You can say 91 because I think we have to round that number up. When I got there, we had 120 associates of ABCZ. Now we have 890 associates participating in this model of Mato Grosso. And this cattle that has been produced there is facing a new challenge, which is the farmers that who stopped raising animals, they stopped with livestock production, and now they're coming back to livestock production, integrating crops and livestock. So they are mid to high productivity animals that are raised in semi-confinement or confinement feedlots, and the result is exceptional. There's people studying the carcass. Here's a project that they have. And I think this is all due to ACZ and the exceptional tool that it has, which is the PMGZ, our eyes, and our passion, the passion that we have for our work. Oh, and Zebu, come on. And that's what I was going to say. Zebu is a blessing to our country, is what made our country one of the greatest exporter of animal protein in the world. I am very glad to say that we feed the world. Yes, and we can feed even more people. That's why we work. That's why you are every day going through all these troubles with love and dedication so that we can do more every day and better every day. This is what's fantastic, having uh, being able to produce with quality and delivering this work to feed Brazil and so many other countries around the world. This is the reflect of the work that we do with your work in the field, your eyes, the analysis of the data, and we can challenge our zebu in any conditions. The other day we were discussing this. We send the zebu to Canada and the fur grows and they produce. You put them in the northeast, they are eating rocks, but they're producing. So we really are very honored to work in this institution, not only in this institution, but working with genetics of a bovine breed that allows us to do everything. We only need to know how to do our work. And this, come on, you know what you do. You work with excellency. So you are always going to reap the fruits of this good work. Of course, I could bring here other technicians and bring you again, and we would have stories to tell forever. right? We could be speaking for a whole year. I don't doubt that for a second. If we were here, we would have things to say the whole year round. But our time is very limited. So I have to tell you that it's over. Our time is up. Oh, it's such a shame. But still, thank you very much for accepting our invitation. We at Brazilian Cattle, we are very proud of the work that you develop. And I would like to understand that your work and the work of this house is what provides the confidence to go all around the world like we're doing today and open new markets, taking this genetics that you help us develop, that you improve for the whole world. We are very proud of your work, and we trust in everything that you guys develop. So I would like to congratulate you all and say how grateful we are. And I hope that God can bless all of you, and so that we continue to have so many technicians all over Brazil. This is what we want so we can reach the rest of the world. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, I want to tell you, our audience, that Expogenetics is coming to an end. We are closing Expogenetics very happy because we were able to bring to you a little bit of a glimpse of the work that we developed in this house. Nothing here happens by chance. Everything is the fruit of a lot of work and a lot of love. And you, anywhere in the world, you can receive a little bit of our work there, and we hope that the livestock production in your country can be improved, can evolve as well as we do here in Brazil. So, big hugs to everyone, and I hope we can see you again in the next Expo Zebu, in the next Expo Genetica, especially presentially. Our invitation is for every one of you. You are all very special to us. See you soon. Bye bye.